All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Café New Canadians, our weekly virtual live chat that we've put on by New Canadians to support newcomers and Canadians alike with various topics. This week, we're talking about the future of the hotel and tourism industry in Canada. And as we talk over the next hour or so, you'll also have the opportunity to send us questions from Zoom or on YouTube, wherever you are. So please shoot them our way. As I've mentioned, New Canadians produces Café New Canadians. We're on Omni Television across the country at different times, depending on where you are. And we're also on YouTube, live like now, but we've also got a number of videos on various topics, so check us out. Lastly, I want to mention our website, newcanadians.tv. There you can find not just videos, but a number of resources that take you to agencies and organizations that are all there meant to support you, whether it's government funded, private funded, or not, on setting yourself up for employment or small business. Also, subscribe on YouTube, as well as follow us on other social media platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Telegram. And yes, I'm Rachel. I'm a part of New Canadians, but I'm really pleased to be here to join you in talking with our panelists. To introduce our first panelist, Philip Mondor, who's the president of Tourism HR Canada. He'll be here to give us a really great overview from on-the-ground perspective. Pinar Uzunkaya, who works as assistant project manager at OTEC, is also joining us to give us specific details on a great initiative that's countrywide called Destination Employment. Next, we have Vibha Vohra-Bhalla, who works as a director in services and community engagement at Access Employment. You're likely familiar with this organization. And lastly, we have Carol Logan, who gives us a very cool perspective, again, on the ground from the employer side. She comes from the Prince George Hotel located in Halifax. So again, our discussion tonight until about 8:30 is all about the future of hotel and tourism industry in our country. So to begin, I thought it'd be great to have Philip and Carol give us on the ground perspective on what's going on. So I'll hit Philip first. Thank you so much, Philip, for joining us tonight. My first question to you, what do you think, especially with second wave, especially with continued uncertainty south of the border, but also within our own country around managing coronavirus, how has the industry been hit and what is it seeing right now?
Well, thank you, Rachel, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of tonight's panel. I'm really looking forward to the discussion over the next hour. Let me start off with providing a bit of a perspective on what has occurred in the sector as a result of COVID, where we are and where we think we're going. And I'll be fairly brief with this. I will also use a lot of big numbers right now, but not to worry, because that information I'm going to use will be available to all of the participants afterwards. But to help give people a perspective, this tourism industry in Canada employed in February just over 2 million workers in Canada. That was nearly 11% of the labor market. So that gives you an idea of the size of the industry. When COVID hit, or more accurately, when the World Health Organization declared the pandemic, within 10 weeks, we lost 45% of our workers. They were displaced. Most of those people were furloughed or laid off. That is about 30% of all of the Canadian workforce that lost their jobs in those first 10 weeks. That's a big blow. That's a really hard hit. There's nothing like it in our history in terms of the kind of impact that incurred. And by the way, I want to talk a bit more about the hotels specifically, but just to give people a little more flavor as well. One of the major challenges we face is the closed borders. This is impacting most of the industry and will continue to impact it for some time. Just not to bore people with too many data, but I'm going to use one more number to give you an idea of how direct and difficult the impact is. In that same window of time that we referred to for the loss of workers, airline passenger trips have gone down 94% within that 10 weeks and is flatlined. That's a big blow on the industry that impacts the entire sector. Without those visitors, we have many fewer people to work with. Now, I could go on with numbers, and I don't want to go on too much, but I want to go now specifically to the hotel environment. Hotels were one of the harder hit industries of the 5 that we talk about. Just prior to COVID, there was just over 200,000 workers in hotels alone. And by April in that hit, we were down to only 80,000 workers. We did get some recovery over the summer, and we do see some positive recovery into 2021, but it won't be until 2023 before we get back to the number of workers we had pre-COVID. But it's not all bleak. I don't want to make it sound like this is not a good news story. As we get a little bit deeper into today's discussion, I think I'll have the chance to offer up some ideas of where the opportunities are.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Just a quick follow-up. You were mentioning how there was a bit of a peak where we had people returning to work, and then slowly we see more of a flat line. Why is that the case? Aren't people eager to return to work?
During the COVID time, like over our normal peak season, which would start in April and run through July and August, there were many constraints put on the industry where they were not allowing places to open. They were restrictions on borders. There was no transportation options being made for international travelers. There were many, many different constraints. And subsequently, many businesses were unable to open, or they were open at a very reduced level. And for the most part, the tourist that they were serving was domestic tourism, and they were short trips with people that could only travel within, their province or within their region. So that really reduced the volume and the number of players that were involved. So, I mean, the whole industry was hampered as a result of the constraints that were put on by COVID.
Mm-hmm. And so taking it right over to Carol here, you work at a major hotel in Halifax. What is it like for you? I mean, it must be so almost like an existential dilemma for the hotel itself.
Yeah, definitely. And first, thank you for having this discussion and this platform to kind of talk about this openly and broadly. And this is something that we haven't experienced in our time here in the hotels. And when the pandemic hit, it was like a light switch, and people quickly went home to that safety. But then as we were able to recall people back to work and really stay connected with our teams, it was work being done differently. And it was a different form of communication and an understanding of what we needed to do and what that looked like. I mean, we have less than 50% of our workforce currently back at work, but work is different than it was when people left. And so we are retraining, refocusing, re-engaging, staying engaged. We don't want to lose our top talent. So this is the challenge, how do we continue to foster, because tourism will rebuild, not in the short term, in the long term. We have great talent that we have invested in, and they've invested in us. And how do we continue to engage that talent? How do we build the confidence back in working in hospitality as a safe place, and in turn build that confidence in consumers to come and stay in our properties? And right now we're working just to attract the local market to come and stay and have those experiences. But we can't do it without the team of employees, whether it be a small team or a large team. We need the people. Mm-hmm. We need to keep the people engaged. We need to train and retrain and recommunicate and really hone in on the skills. And, in some cases, we're losing some top talent. Even during this pandemic, some restaurants have closed, some restaurants have opened, some hotels. There's a new hotel right next to us that have opened up, and they're securing some of our good talent because we don't have the opportunity. And so we need to continually focus on that connection with our team, and what does that connection look like while they're away from work and as they come back to work.
Right. And later we'll talk over the hour about those skills that we mentioned that we need to retrain for, and how they're transferable to even other industries. So we'll definitely revisit that. Just so I also follow up to your answer there, Carol, we were lucky enough to meet before Corona in Halifax. You are known, and your hotel even won an award for this, for hiring newcomers. and for bringing in people who are newer to the country, who bring on very different backgrounds and experiences to the table. How is that going to be something to bring it now with the new work environments that we all have to deal with? Or is there any differences or such?
Well, not so much differences. The one thing I can say that we're very proud of, and I'm lucky to represent two hotels, the Prince George and the Cambridge Suites here in Halifax. And our teams are very diverse, and it comes from creative and innovative partnerships, recruitment strategies. But the current team of employees that we have working with us, they attract other people, they attract their family, they attract their friends, their community members who want to come and join the team. And then that builds a reputation. So when new Canadians and newcomers come to Nova Scotia, they say, I have heard about you, or I've read about you. And because our culture represents itself. People see people like them, or people engage with people that say, oh, you want to call so-and-so at this hotel or that hotel because my friend works there, or my sister or my mother. And so we've got a really strong following from word of mouth, from community, and from the relationships with our local immigrant settlement association, from our Tourism Human Resource Council, by participating in initiatives and programs. So that builds a good reputation for us, but it comes from the culture of our team of
Right.
employees. And that's what we need to build is that culture that is open, accepting, learning, and understanding. And quite frankly, pre-pandemic, the client was very diverse. So the more diverse our team is, the better service, the better communication and opportunities we have to service our guests and be that player globally.
Right. Now it's interesting because with COVID and our new situation, getting a viable foot in the door for a newcomer is more essential, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about in the past, this is for all of us here on the panel, about how now with online learning and with programs and schools all being virtual, there's actually a lot of benefits to this new way. So I'm going to pass it over to Pinar, who, you support a number of your clients who come through to gain your support as project manager. You've managed those in or under destination employment, this program that we can now start to talk about. Can you give us a brief overview of what it is and how it helps newcomers who want to get their foot in the door in this industry?
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity again. So destination employment is designed to help newcomers gain meaningful employment opportunities in tourism and hotel industry, and also as well as the other industries. So this is available across Canada. So there are 4 regions basically deliver this program, and we are the Ontario representative for the delivery and the program management. So basically what we try to do, help newcomers and enable them to access the job opportunities in the industries by providing pre-employment training and some on-the-job support and mentorship training. So this is a partnership of Tourism HR Canada and Hotel Association of Canada. It's funded through IRCC, so it's a free program for newcomers. So what they do, basically, definitely this program provide a lot of transferable skills, so they can get their foot in the door. Like first they join the pre-employment training, where they receive a lot of different components such as customer service training, Canadian workplace essentials, workplace culture training, and also a lot of different industry certifications. For example, in terms of industry certifications, like there are Smart Serve, food safety, and workplace hazardous and safety training. So when you look at all these trainings and certifications, you can see that they can be utilized in various sectors, not only like in hotel and tourism industry. So definitely they receive a lot of like improve their skills and or gain new skills to be able to pursue their jobs in the sectors. Of course, now they are with the COVID-19, all those sessions are virtual. So with tremendous effort from our delivery partners in different regions, we do able to offer those training sessions virtually. So provides a little bit flexibility in terms of, they can join those training sessions from where they're located. And then, they can be a little bit flexible in terms of their schedule. So that's an opportunity for sure.
And we just talked quickly about those certifications. But what if you're not qualified for the program? What makes you unqualified, and what makes you able to partake?
So there are some eligibility requirements for destination employment, and the first permanent residents are eligible for this program who reside in Canada. So, and then the other eligibility is refugees, convention refugees, again, who currently reside in Canada and do have a valid work permit. So if you hold these statuses, then you can be eligible for the program. In this case, you can apply for the program wherever you are, if in your region this program is available. And then a delivery partner from that region will connect with those interested newcomers to connect with them and then get their registration and then talk to them, give a little bit of information, and so we'll go from there.
Cool. And, just throwing it right to Vibha here, just like Pinar, you've seen newcomer clients come through and take part in this program and other programs too that can plug newcomers to various industries. Online learning has changed not just learning forever, but just our culture and how we talk to each other forever. What do you feel about it, Vibha, as someone who now, you face community engagement changed forever? What are your thoughts on online learning, and how can we adjust to set ourselves up for greater success?
Excellent question. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much to be here and to promote the program. So, as you know, Destination Employment was an in-person program. It was never designed to be online. So moving it to an online platform, it posed its own challenges, both internally and externally. And, we've talked about how the border was closed and people weren't coming to Canada, and this program was designed for newcomers. So initially it was quite a challenge, even, finding the client group that was interested in partaking in this. But we were able to move to an online delivery platform rather quickly, because as an organization, we already had a number of programs that were already online. And so therefore we had the platforms, and we were quickly able to, end of March, beginning of April, ensure that all our staff were trained, and Zoom is the platform that we use. So, they were all provided with Zoom training, as well as any external facilitators that helped with the program. So, like I said, because we had the extensive experience already in the online program delivery, we were able to make use of this. So what does it mean for a client? Well, there was advantages, and then there was, some challenges. And some of the advantages, like Pinar said, people can access it online, and so you don't have to be right where the program was offered. So our service delivery was in Peel region, Mississauga and Brampton. Now we were open because it was online. We were able to go across the GTA. And so there was lack of, clients didn't have to worry about transportation. They didn't have to worry about childcare or getting their kids, off the school bus, because now kids were home too. But then again, it created a lot of challenges because you moved to online. So how many platforms do you have at home to access learning yourself? Like, can you be involved in learning all day if you have young kids and they need computers? So again, there was opportunities. So, we created an environment that was flexible, so people can do some learnings on their own, as well as join if they had childcare needs that they needed to look after. And then it's a new form of learning, a new form of communication. So it's simple things like, turning on your camera, or, what kind of a background do you prepare yourself for? Meanwhile, here I am sitting with pictures behind me. I apologize. But it's that way, it's preparing them for the interview and getting them ready for their interview. So again, this was a great opportunity because you were on a Zoom link on a daily basis. So you learned some of those etiquettes, and you learned about, turning on your microphone, turning it off, to make sure that there wasn't a whole lot of noise behind you, all of those things. And we were also very fortunate that if we had clients that didn't have, laptops or desktops, we were able to find resources to assist them with it. We had some as an organization that we had received through a funder. And so we had some available that we could make available to clients. Plus there was opportunities to partner with organizations out in our communities that were refurbishing laptops and make them available to people.
Mm-hmm. And, we talked earlier about skills that are getting relearned, retrained, or completely new to us. What are some of those skills? And can you mention how they're transferable to other industries?
Skills of being online or skills just in the hospitality?
Yeah, skills more
itself,
on the hospitality.
Hospitality, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, that was one of the things that we needed to do in the program was look at, assist our clients to look at their transferable skills. So one of the facilitators that we engage with is on 21st century skill and mindset, and looking at your transferable skills and seeing what else you can do. So it was also like it took a lot to reassure people that the hospitality industry was going to recover, and that it was okay if you got another job in the meantime while you waited for this to for this recovery to happen. So there's other customer service jobs that you can take. There's other jobs like, may not be in a hotel, but it could still be in the hospitality sector. That, because there were some restaurants that were opening up, and so we were able to assist them with that. But a lot of customer service. But then if they had some other skill sets, say they wanted to be in a hotel, but they had a HR background, well, there's other HR programs and opportunities, or finance.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to look at what skills did they have, what was their interest, what additional training could they need to help them enter those fields.
Yeah, and to both you and Pinar, what jobs have you seen matched with graduates of the program?
Did you want to go first, Pinar? Or?
Sure. Since we talked about these transferable skills, so they are kind of open to various opportunities actually with all these skills that they gain during the pre-employment training. What we see, a lot of customer service related jobs, a lot of frontline jobs, and they receive, like they take after the training. There are also like some entrepreneurs, like they build their own businesses with the skills that they gain from these training sessions. Because these pre-employment part of this program is really, training part of this program is really important, because they also, yes, they receive all these skills and they get certifications, they are equipped with all these courses, but in the meantime, they gain that confidence to move forward, take some extra steps, and then they build connections with employers, with the industries through joining those job fairs, guest speaker events, etc. So it's not really just the pre-employment training that they receive. They also receive a lot of that kind of support from different stakeholders, like the partner that they work with, their classmates, the other newcomers, and also the events that they join, so the other employers. So I think these are all helpful for them to see like a wide, like a lot of options that are available in the market in different sectors. So so there are a lot of opportunities for sure.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for that insight. That's great.
Yeah. And as an organization, Access Employment has a number of different programs available for newcomers. So we were able to leverage a lot of that. And, as an organization, we were doing virtual job fairs. And so our clients had the opportunity to be involved in that. And during the program, they had, mock interviews and making sure that their resume was up to date. And how do you conduct yourself in an interview or engage with employers and networking? And those opportunities were available in different areas within our organization and with other employers that we were working with. Because so as an organization, we looked at what were some of the industries, what were some of the employers that were hiring during this time, and brought them on board to work with us and our client group. And that's where clients were able to transfer. As we know, grocery stores were hiring and banks were still hiring. And there was a lot of call center jobs and customer service related jobs. And working with such employers we were able to support our clients in getting them. We had a number of clients that got jobs with some of the top banks and some of the top grocery stores.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for those insights from the organization perspective for immigrant serving aspect. I want to take it to Philip here. Because Philip, I want to ask you, well, it's great to receive this training fully funded by the government. Tourism HR is one of the main facilitators involved with destination employment. But what place does it have or continue to have in a completely changed industry where newcomer talent is, yes, recognized, but with not just a competitive a market, but just a changed market where skills are really, we have to be even more diligent as employers on the hiring side, but as employees on properly showcasing those skills. So yeah, for a graduate of the Destination Employment Program, what sort of encouragement do you have to offer on pushing through and completing it to set yourself up for greater heights at your career?
Well, thank you, Rachel. I think you've asked a very important question, and I want to pick up on a few things that were just mentioned by the last three speakers as well, and build on your question. In a way, COVID actually presented more opportunities for new Canadians than even prior to COVID. Now, that might seem a little counterintuitive or a little odd, but let me walk you through a few things. First of all, the program itself was launched in partnership with the Government of Canada. They approached us because it's always been the case that in the hotel environment in Canada, it's a very rich learning environment with a lot of different occupations and opportunities for people to gain skills and get a foothold into the Canadian labor market. So for new Canadians, it's really been a key platform for them to get their first Canadian workplace experiences for the most part. The reality is that the Government of Canada was looking for ways to make, to enable new Canadians to more rapidly access employment and gain the skills so that they would have more currency, more opportunities in the labor market overall. And we saw hotels as a major opportunity because hotels include job offers that are at all levels, right from entry level right through to executive level. And in case people are not entirely familiar, let me just say a few examples of the categories in which people work in hotels without going through the litany of all the occupations. But there's front office operations, sales, marketing, events, food services, grounds people, finance, technology, it goes on. Now, to your question, Rachel, moving forward, what we know is that there are going to be a lot of new kinds of employment. In fact, the demands are there today. This disruption we've had has actually produced an interesting opportunity. There is now the skills required, new skills required for people to be able to manage product development, to tap into new markets, to be more entrepreneurial, to start in some new roles like community engagement roles and safety officers, and I could go on. So we see it as a very rich learning environment, but also with that, a very rich opportunity for employment. Just this past summer, as an example, even during the peak, as I mentioned in my previous note, still employers, when we polled them, 42% indicated they had challenges finding workers. Now, there's different reasons for that. Part of it was that COVID was still a very unsettling time. Some people couldn't necessarily return to work because of care needs, or they were high risk, or there were other factors. But the reality is our data shows that as we move out of COVID and start to rebound, the number of jobs and the opportunities are quite significant. Indeed, it's true across Canada and in all levels of employment. So we see destination employment and a few other programs as really important incubators right now, where it's giving people an opportunity to get the skills in a well-supported environment, where it's very rich with different learning opportunities, as we've heard Pinar speak. And then when we start to rebound and start to accelerate, it will be an opportunity for a massive growth very rapidly. And finally, one other note, without taking up all the time here, I could go on and on, but things that people should also know if they're not aware in hotels, and why it was also a strong prospect for New Canadians, is people can move, can progress rapidly in a hotel environment in terms of their earnings and their job attainment if they choose to. It's a rich environment that enables people to move around and acquire new skills and basically, as you know, in a euphemistic way, sort of move up the ladder rapidly if they're interested. And the mobility is there because hotels are everywhere. So, you know, this is a very important program to us, and in particular to the New Canadian. So we want to make sure we maintain this kind of a program moving forward, and hope that the cohorts moving in today will actually be some of our best examples of why it's going to help the industry rebound more rapidly.
Amazing. Well, that's a really great, and it doesn't all have to be so bleak. So thank you for that. But, you know, knowing that hotels, especially the bigger hotels, need access to liquidity to survive, do our small business and big businesses in Canada have the power to survive? Yes, no, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
You know, there are many that are challenged. There's no question that not all of them are going to survive, but gratefully, the government of Canada has done some very smart investments and programs, and the sector is very appreciative of that. And I must also do a shout out to some of the national associations, particularly the Hotel Association of Canada, the Tourism Industry Association of Canada, and others, who have been very strong advocates on behalf of the industry to help government understand what those needs are. And subsequently, they are benefiting from, you know, wage subsidies, rental supports. Still, it's going to be a struggle. It is a struggle for many because there's just not enough volume of visitors at the moment until borders open. So that'll be a struggle for sure as they try to maintain their operations and look for other ways to diversify what they're doing, which is happening. But it does mean that certain businesses will not open, about 30%, and some unfortunately will fail.
Right. And Carol, knowing that you have been hiring, are currently hiring actively, employers have a renewed sense of responsibility to really find good talent and retain, like you said to us in the beginning. How are you doing that, especially given our audience among the newcomer community? What can we do if we're newer to the country and we have these great skills and backgrounds, do to make sure that even without Canadian experience and even without really getting our foot in the door just yet, that we stand out among the crowd?
Right. Thank you for that, Rachel. And I just want to echo something that Philip said about jobs and how jobs are changing. And we see that now with our current team of employees, the clusters of work. So someone who was a room attendant, for example, right now is also getting skills as a house person, as a leader, as a trainer, because those skills, we're utilizing all those skills and progressing. She is progressing, or he is progressing in their career, because the opportunities and the talent that is needed is changing the positions that people are in. To your question, it's about connection. It's about coffee conversations. It's about being able to connect with the newcomers and to have the dialogue, to bring them into the workplace while there may not be an opportunity at that moment, but still to engage them in what they are doing. I look at one of our current employees who was off due to the pandemic, who was engaged in the destination employment program. And when she came back and through her orientation, she was so excited because she was still connected. She was learning, she was developing, and her fellow colleagues were saying, wow, that was great. And she had this whole bank of new skills that she had, and she had the confidence in what she was bringing back and coming back to work. So she was actually further ahead in coming back. So how do we continue to gauge? Because we will need all this labor that we can possibly get. It will be a while in rebuilding our industry, but our industry is going to come back and it's going to need talent. And we want top, trained, skilled, passionate talent. And we see that coming from newcomers because they have a lot of already those skills. We're just enhancing them and moving them into our industry. And those transferable skills and that energy and passion is what we need in our business. So our doors are open. And as positions become available, we want people ready and engaged and interested in those positions. And we collectively need to work together to show what this industry has to offer, to show the career opportunities. We need tomorrow's leaders. So let's develop them now for the next couple of years coming forward. Let's start enhancing and growing those skills. And programs like destination employment and really globally, us working together will enhance that to give us that labor force that we need.
Right. And I feel like we all see this across various industries. Wearing multiple hats and being able to pick up skills quickly is becoming more and more important. What are all of your guys' tips? We can start with Carol. What are your tips to make sure that we, in our current jobs and our future jobs, don't get burnt out, don't get stretched too thin, and therefore not performing at our best at all of our roles?
I think it's about having honest and open conversations with each other as to how people are doing. How can we support them? How can we help you? What do you need? I mean, I look at how jobs have changed. Before it was, if you had childcare, it was like, oh, you can't come in at 8 o'clock or you can't. Now we're saying, what time works for you? What's the best opportunity? What does this look like? We're reframing jobs. We're changing jobs around based on what's going to work both for the for the employee and the business. And I think it's that carving out. It's being innovative. It's being creative. It's asking people, what's going to give you the best success in this position? What do you need? And what's causing you the challenges? And it's about having those conversations and having the discussion with the full employee. And I'm pleased to say, as people are getting reintegrated back into the workplace, we are having those discussions and we are talking about how your time was spent away and what does success look like for you going forward? And how do we match up so that it's a win-win for everybody?
Thank you for that. How about we go to Pinar and then Vibha and then Philip last?
Sure. Maybe I can give some tips to newcomers. I feel really connected to this project, to Destination Employment Project, because I am a newcomer too, and I recently became a New Canadian last year. So nice. I was in the same stages when I came to Canada, and I was looking for a job. I felt desperate at times, I've been through all those, and I truly understand and how it is, and also I truly believe how the connecting people is important, to find a job, to feel confident, to gain that cultural components, because you are coming from other countries, so you don't know the Canadian ways of doing things. You might not know, and it's okay. So that's why these programs provide a lot of great insights, as well as training, as well as networking opportunities for those people, so they can go with their, they can take steps, they can move forward. So what I just want to say, actually, honestly, just try those options. They are available for you, and they are free, and everybody is working collectively to, to change, to help, to support. So I think, so take the chances.
Thank you. Vibha, I'll just repeat the question for those of us listening to remind us. Yes, with the added responsibility of taking up more roles in your career, wherever you are, how do you make sure that you're not burnt out and not spreading yourself too thin?
Excellent question. Just to build a little bit on what the past two speakers have talked about, it's really having those conversations, just being open and, creating those trusting opportunities to have those open conversations as to ensure that people aren't burning out, and checking in and seeing what the barriers are. So it's not so much saying so now you've gone online and someone's not there or available. It's not making any assumptions. It's just asking some of those questions, and what is it that we could do to assist them, so that to reduce that level of stress. And we had a client where newcomers come very highly educated, and they have a lot of experience. They bring a lot to our industry and to our country. And a lot are attracted to destination employment because they have past experience of working in the hospitality sector in their countries. So now what's their stress levels? It's trying to put food on the table, having money, dealing with their kids and the childcare issues. Or it could be as simple as, needing equipment to do the training that they need, and to build their networks and build that social system. So it's just really trying to break down the barriers and finding out what are some of the challenges, what's holding someone back, and what supports are there. And there could be other programs or could be other services that they need, and just being open to hearing what the needs are. So like Carol said, you know, it's not so much as you need to be in at 8, but what are some of the things we can do? So with a program going online, so what parts could you do in your own time, you know, or in the evening, or, you know, prepare for a certification. It's just doing things differently and doing things, you know, in a different modality in terms.
Thank you. And Philip?
Again, Rachel, I think you always have the right question, which is very helpful. Look, there's you know, the challenge with me is I could go on for quite a while here, but I wanna pull it back to two key ideas. One, I think it's very important for us to remember that the idea of employment is really a community-led effort. It's not singularly with the employer or with the job seeker or worker. As we just heard, we have to remember that well, I'll talk from a newcomer lens. The opportunity is linked to the community. There are support services of many types, and it needs to be managed in such a way that there's improved coordination and effort, so that there is really kind of an ecosystem of sorts to allow an individual to get the right kinds of supports at the right time, and that these players are all working really well together so that they can manage the different needs that the newcomer may have. So when we think about this, there's also, I'm going to bring it back to my second point, and that's a general one, and I'd love to go deeper on that if we have time or if you want. But the second point I want to bring up, though, is it's another example of how the world of work has changed, and some of these very skills we're talking about that are needed in the workplace, which newcomers might bring or our current employers may need to acquire. And that's around HR, different capacity, different things with HR, like mental health, learning how to manage mental health requirements. Or another example I raised earlier with new roles in the businesses, these community engagement roles where they're very much working hands-on with the community to help coordinate these efforts more so. In the end, you know, it's a bit like what Carol was saying. Moving forward, employment is about accommodating the needs of all of those different job seekers in a way that fits their lifestyle. And the good news is hotel environments, tourism in general, is one of the places where that flexibility is more likely available to people. Look, I could go on with this, but I'm sounding a little too much like I'm on my soapbox or my
No.
setting. So I live and breathe this stuff, and I just got to say, you know, the opportunities are there, but it's speaking to the changes that we're all facing. Not just new people coming in, but ourselves. We are all having to acquire these very nimble abilities to change and adapt. I should also add, I should have not forgotten this, but you know, part of the very curriculum with destination employment is really that skill of adaptability, of being creative, of learning to go with the punches and manage stress. That is just part of the world of work. As you know, that is just the new reality, and it will be moving forward. This idea of disruption is the new norm. It's not going to be just this one-time event.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Philip. We really appreciate that. I also want to remind viewers, you know, if you have questions, to hit submit, let us know. We're fielding for them right now. Let's just continue. I can throw it to Carol here. So Carol, like I mentioned earlier, we were in Halifax last year and we met some of your staff. Really cool. We met one man, I think he was your pastry chef from Greece. How is folks like him doing? Are they still working? If not, how have you seen anecdotally people adjusting and hoping to come back to work after there's some more settling with our new reality?
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. He is lovely, lovely gentleman. Yeah, and he is just recently back. He's back part-time. We have spoken to him a couple of times through the period while he was off, had him in for an orientation. He has small children. Quite honestly, he enjoyed a little bit of time off. Typically in hospitality and in the business, we don't get time off like people were able to kind of enjoy and have the resources to sort of be able to do it without necessarily all the financial pressures. It doesn't mean there weren't other pressures and there weren't situations that people were going through, but in some cases people appreciated that little bit of time. They reevaluated, and they're also coming back and saying, wow, I now realize how much I enjoyed my job. I realize how much I miss the people I work with and what I have done. I'm happy to come back 1 day a week. I'm happy to come back 2 days a week. There's a different appreciation. And there's this new re-energized person coming back to work. And the person you met, our pastry chef, is one of those individuals. And he's just happy to be back and start to get re-engaged and start to work on his career again. And so it's people like him we're just blessed to have. And I believe as employers, our role is to help employees be the best that they can be as supportive and as encouraging as we can be, and provide them with the resources and learning, like destination employment, to constantly be upskilling and getting those skills. And for him to get his pastry chef certificate through that program, I mean, that is what we need as employers. We need that help, that we need that support, we need programs, and we need effective trainers to help us to engage with our labor force, with our current labor force, with the labor force that we need to help us through the future, and with, again, tomorrow's leaders.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask both Pinar and Vibha this question. So some of us tuning in may never have gone to an organization like the ones you represent for help, right? Around this time might be the first time they ever go and reach you. So in your own words, what is the difference between getting this program like Destination Employment under your belt versus going ahead and presenting yourself directly to an employer? What are the key differences that you've seen in your own experience? And maybe we can start with Vibha, if that's okay.
Sure. So as an organization, we have a number of different programs. So part of what our role is that when a client comes in is to complete an assessment to determine, what is the best fit or what is the best intervention to assist somebody in connecting with the labor market. And destination employment may be the right program, but there are eligibility criteria. And so they may not be eligible for the program, but there could be other programs. And, there's the general program, which is Employment Ontario, which is open to anyone in Ontario that's unemployed, that's looking for work in whatever sector that they may be looking for work. So there are a number of workshops available, and there's funds available, to assist somebody with training or some of these certifications that the program offers, but they may not be eligible for that program. So our role is to try to help the client meet all of those needs, and there's workshops, there's resume critiques and mock interviews and connecting with employers and job fairs. And right now they're virtual job fairs, and it's assisting them where they may need to be.
Okay, thank you very much. Pinar, you're next.
So I think the benefit is here, attending this kind of a program is you're getting prepared for the Canadian workplace through these community organizations. So if you will be just an individual, and you can do that too, but it will be you won't be able to get a chance probably to learn more those cultural components that workplaces have. And also there are a lot of opportunities for you to practice your interview skills with these organizations, with these programs. You can learn a lot about interview skills, you can practice, you can improve yourself on those areas. So it definitely provides a lot of benefits when you join this kind of a program like Destination Employment, so you can get well prepared before you meet the employer, so you can well represent yourself. In the meantime, of course, as Vibha mentioned, there's this training component of the program, so you can get all those certifications, you can be equipped for the job. So there are definitely a lot of benefits.
Cool. And now we have from an attendee, Philip, you actually answered. This is great because I was going to field it to you. So we had a wavelength connection there. We can answer it for everyone. The question is, are you saying that this program is good for all types of work in the hospitality industry, not just frontline? If so, why? Is it a great fundamental program that introduces newcomers to the tourism industry itself? Your answer, Philip?
Yes, there's really two kind of answers to that because I read two different possibilities into the question. The first quick answer is yes. That is to say that all of the skills learned in the destination employment really do qualify people for many different roles in tourism, broadly speaking, more than in the hotel environment. So that is part of the whole objective of it. And indeed, the sector is very large, so they could be working in any number of different environments and meetings, events, outdoor recreation, food services, etc. The other way I read the question, though, and just so I wanted to be clear about this, the other reality is it's more than just frontline jobs, to be very clear. If people come in with skills that are commensurate with mid-level or, I don't know, specialization like in culinary or in HR or whatever it may be, the idea is to match them to those qualified jobs or to help people reach those levels if they're close to it. So it's true, there are a lot of job openings in the frontline areas, but indeed there are roles available at any level in the operation. And that's the point here, is we want to match people to the skills that are to the jobs that are commensurate with their skills, or to help them reach those levels where they have particular interests.
Great. Thank you very much. And that's a great point, that when we say tourism, hotel and tourism, it's not just within hotels. It includes working in restaurants, for example, the wider hospitality industry itself. So that's a really great point. My next question, I'm going to direct it to Vibha. You just put yourself on mute, but I'm coming for you.
No, I was just going to add, that's so true. Like, that's where we've been successful with so many clients, is that it may not be in the hotel, but there are so many other opportunities. It could be in finance there, or they could have been in HR, or they could have been in IT looking for work in a hotel, and you could assist them with getting other opportunities, employment opportunities. But you had a question.
Yeah, and that's just touching upon the fact that borders have to open. That's really where it comes down to. Canada is competing with countries like Australia, New Zealand as a great country to not just vacation in or come for fresh air, but to live in, right? Knowing that, and knowing that labor talent shortage in Canada is here to stay for at least another 10 years, according to BDC, are we prepared? Can we ensure that immigrants coming in are going to be able to settle successfully, integrate successfully, and therefore make us a better country? Whoever wants to take that on first, because that's a big question. But Vibha, I guess you can start, because that's where I wanted to start anyway.
Okay. So yes, I do believe it. And, we're an organization that serves over 33,000 clients annually, and a large percentage of the clients that we serve are newcomers to Canada. We also have pre-arrival programs where we are working with individuals before they even arrive in Canada to assist them in securing employment. So yes, I'm very hopeful for borders to open, and for people to to continue to come here to Canada and to get those experiences. And like I said, we have numerous programs in a number of different sectors, right from IT to HR to supply chain to sales and marketing, to a number of them. So to assist in particular the newcomers settling here in Canada, ensuring that they have the skill set that they need to re-enter the labor market and understand the Canadian labor market and the norms of working here. So yes,
Yeah,
I'm very helpful.
And I'll actually direct and lead to Carol, because you in your own circles, in being in HR, you talk to many other employers that are just like you. What's the discussion like on making sure that you find and retain top talent, specifically in the newcomer community?
Yeah, Rachel, that's a good point, because, for us, while we are competitive in the nature of our work as it relates to HR in the labor market, we are collectively meeting now and saying, how are we going to meet the future needs for our industry? How are we going to partner and work together so that we can have the talent that we need? And in some cases, we're sharing employees right now. We're sending employees that currently aren't working at one property to work at another property. And as it relates to New Canadians, it's really working with these partners through the tie-ins and the Tourism Human Resource Council, and with ISANs. It's building those relationships. So when they're interacting with the newcomers, they have employers in their back pocket that they can call and say, come into the classroom, come in and to speak, come virtually and have a dialogue and have a discussion. How do we start having these conversations so that we can connect people who are interested in tourism and hospitality with a potential employer, or to have a virtual tour of a property, or to talk to somebody who's doing a position that potentially they want to do, or to talk to somebody who's had that experience that they're just about to embark upon. How can we provide some mentors? How can we get more innovative and creative so that we can start building relationships with individuals before they're even here, so that they have that more sense of comfort, support, confidence, and already that community starts to build. That's what tourism is known for. I mean, we're a family and we're a community of people that want to help people do well, be successful, and we can start building that bridge a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Thank you for that point. I'm going to throw it to Pinar before we conclude our session with Philip. So Pinar, when you're working day to day, project managing the clients that come through to OTEC, what are some, I would say, key tips that you have for the climate currently to make sure that you are able to juggle life and participating in programs like destination employment and graduating successfully and making sure that you do secure a job afterward?
So I would say attending those sessions, trying to get most out of those sessions, and trying to be connected with the delivery partners, employers, it's really helpful. And definitely at the end of the day, they will see some outcomes out of all those efforts, because it's a collective effort, and it gives a lot of opportunities and benefits to the newcomers to improve themselves. So definitely, like, just not giving up and attending and following all the like employer like informations, being connected with the people, definitely helpful. I also want to quickly mention, I see some questions as well in terms of the regions that we are available, like this program is available. So this is a program is available across Canada, as I mentioned earlier. So we are available in Ontario, like in 4 cities. So Greater Toronto Area, Niagara, Kingston, and Ottawa, as well as the other provinces. And they are Halifax, Atlantic region, the North, Yukon, and the Saskatchewan and Regina. So those are the available provinces that people can apply for from. So I just wanted to quickly mention, as I saw a couple questions about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Pinar. The question I want to end with is on a high note, because I think there's more highs than lows to our situation. Lot of, I think, opportunity more than anything else, depending on how you situate yourself. So Philip, a thriving tourism industry is a thriving country. So how can we, in it or not, what can we do to support that and to see people wanting to come here, to see ourselves wanting to enjoy the greatness of that is Canada?
Oh, Rachel, always good questions. One quick note up front, and then I'm gonna add some thoughts to it. First of all, the skills and experience that workers gain in hotels or in tourism in Canada will always make them an employee in demand in any number of jobs. So it's an attractive place to get people thinking about work, and it's a really great way to learn about Canada and to get integrated into the understanding of what the work culture is like in Canada. So from a worker's point of view, the opportunity is vast. It's easy access. The level of skills and training that one gets really is a high value in terms of their long-term trajectory into any types of employment. And that's usually why we do attract a number of different people. By the way, we also really value the different languages and a different culture, which enriches what tourism has to offer as the experience to visitors. And so there's a good match there, a good opportunity for new Canadians, which are really considered some of the most valued workers in a way, because they do bring with them world experiences and so on. So from an opportunity, from an employment point of view, great destination for employment, hence the name. But I might add as well that we should not forget that Canada's tourism sector is really synonymous with an understanding of the culture and the values that Canada brings to the international stage. Really, it's a way of demonstrating what Canada has to offer culturally, what it has to offer in terms of the vistas and opportunities. It's really a demonstration of the fabric of the people in Canada. So it's not surprising Canada is one of the top destinations for visitors. It's because the values espoused by the workers in the sector really translate to understanding what the culture is like and what the opportunity is like. And from a policy point of view, I want to add that it's a good investment for the government of Canada to be thinking about programs like this, because tourism jobs in particular really are often the anchor of communities. Like the hotels we're talking about here in rural communities are often the primary economic engine in those communities. And they are often family led, they have a long history, they bring so much to the table. So keeping them vibrant and alive is really depending on the new Canadian to help with that. Our demographic is aging, so the new Canadian is really what's bringing in the new blood, the new skills, the new opportunities. So I think your opening statement to say that this is all about opportunity is pretty much the real message. I can't stress it enough, and it may feel difficult right now as we're going through COVID. This is true of most industries. It feels very disruptive and very uncomfortable, but really we're talking, what, a year, maybe a year and a half, things will start to rebound in a way that they're more stable and those opportunities will accelerate quite rapidly. So it's a great time to invest in the training and to invest in the looking at where those opportunities are to make decisions on where you want to move with your lifestyle.
Amazing. Well, I would do this program if I didn't have jobs already. Thank you so much, guys, for your participation and time tonight. And thank you to the attendees that are here joining us. As we said, destination employment is a great, viable undertaking, not just to invest in your own future, but to also contribute to a thriving and vibrant country. We will throw up the link to the website right now so that you can find out more about destination employment during your own time. And later on, we'll share a number of other resources via our website and other external communications like our newsletter. I want to thank you, the panelists, once more for being here, and all of our attendees. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.